Good morning, everyone. Abraham Lincoln once said that tact is the ability to describe others as they see themselves. In this week's Torah portion, we have the story of the angel coming to tell Abram and Sarah the news that they would have a child. And when Sarah hears the news that at age 90 and her husband's 99, she's going to have a baby, she bursts out laughing. And she says, "How can I have a child when my skin has withered and my husband is old?" Then God comes to Abraham and says, "Abraham, lama zeh tzachak asar?" Why did Sarah laugh and say, "How can I have a child when I am so old?" Is there anything beyond God? So our rabbis point out something quite interesting, that God didn't exactly tell the truth. Because what Sarah said was, "How can I have a child when my husband is so old?" But when God quoted the conversation to Abraham, he changed the words of Sarah and put words in her mouth, so to speak, and said, "How can I have a child when I am so old, not when my husband is so old?" And our rabbis teach us an amazing lesson. Mutar l'shanot mipnei darkei shalom. You're allowed to change the truth for the sake of peace. You're allowed to tell a white lie for the sake of peace. When it's a question of being brutally honest, as they say, or being tactful, go with the tact, not with honesty. If you're trying to avoid someone, right, for whatever reason, and suddenly you run into them, should you say to them, "Oh, I was hoping I wouldn't run into you"? Or should you say, "Oh, it's so good to see you"? Well, you're lying. It's not so good to see them. But the rabbis are teaching us that even God doesn't always tell the truth, because virtues aren't always able to coexist harmoniously. Sometimes telling the truth is going to disturb the peace and harmony. And sometimes, in order to preserve peace and harmony between a husband and a wife, you can't go to the husband and say, "You know what your wife just said? You're too old. She's married to an old man." That would create a conflict, a rift, a strife in the marriage. So God says, "You know what? You don't always have to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth. Sometimes you could fudge the truth." And we learn from here that it's better to tell a little white lie and keep peace than to tell the truth and disturb the peace. And surely, and this is when we look around in society and we see all the conflict, what's going on, particularly today and leading up to the midterms, we always have to take people's feelings into consideration. Even if you think you have the truth on your side, which isn't always necessarily the case. First of all, don't be so arrogant and think you have a monopoly on truth. Consider that someone else's opinion may be truthful too. You know, even the Torah, the rabbis say there are 70 faces to the Torah. There's 70 ways to understand the Torah. Surely there's more than one way to see the truth. But even if you believe the truth is on your side, don't sacrifice peace and civility for the sake of truth. You always have to be a mensch. You have to show niceties and pleasantness and coexist with other people harmoniously. As Hillel says, when you come to a wedding, no matter what the bride looks like, you always say the same thing. "What a beautiful bride." What's if she's not beautiful? Says Hillel, say it anyways, because in the eyes of the groom, she's beautiful. So you're seeing the truth from his perspective. That's what Abraham Lincoln said. Tact is the ability to describe something the way to a person the way he sees himself, not the way you see the person. And that's a mitzvah. It's a story told about a true story. There was a father who had a son who had Down syndrome. And his son was in an organization called OHEL. OHEL is an organization in Brooklyn for kids with special needs. This kid had Down syndrome. And he told a very beautiful story. He said he never understood, why did God give him a child with Down syndrome? He questioned it. One day he was walking by the park, and there were a group of kids, yeshiva kids, playing baseball, his age. And the kid never played baseball in his life. He has Down syndrome. So he said, "Daddy, I want to play baseball." He knew he couldn't play. So he said, "You know what, we'll go in the bleachers, we'll watch the game." After watching for 10, 20 minutes, the kid said, "But Daddy, I really want to play." He says, "We got to get home. Mommy made dinner." He's trying to distract the kid. The kid starts crying. He wants to play. The father says, "What am I going to do? You know what? I know they don't want him on the team, but I'll try." He goes down to the field. He says, "My son really would like to play baseball with you." The yeshiva boys look up. They see right away there's a kid with Down syndrome. He said, oh, we would love to have him on the team. And they start waving to him to come. The kid lights up like 1,000-watt light bulb. He comes running down clumsily. They give him a mitt, they give him a t-shirt, they give him a helmet. Yeah, okay. Anyways, they put him on the team. And suddenly his name was Shia. It was Shia's turn to get the bat. And he could barely hold the baseball bat, and the pitcher pitches it real gently, and he clumsily swings and misses. Strike one. So the pitcher comes close and even more gently tosses the ball to him, and again he's strike two. So finally the pitcher comes 3 feet in front of him and gives him a little toss and makes sure to hit the bat, and the ball is punted. And everyone on the team starts saying, Shia, run to first! And the pitcher picks up the ball and he throws it to the first baseman, but he throws it way over his head. So he has to run after the ball, and then when he gets to first, they say, Shia, go to second, and then the first baseman throws it way over the head of the second baseman. Shia, go to third, and the second baseman throws it way over that. Finally, Shia gets into home plate, and the father says at this Ohel dinner, all the teammates got together, they picked up Shia on his shoulders, and they started chanting, Shia, home run, home run. She said, I never saw my son so happy in his life. And then I realized why God sometimes gives people challenges to bring out the best in others. Sometimes it's okay to tell a lie, to pretend, to make someone feel good, because even God did it to make Abraham feel good. And that teaches us that, yes, truth is a virtue, but a greater virtue is peace and shalom and harmony. And that's something we have to keep in mind, especially in today's day, in our society.